Hey guys, it is Heath with the Vacation Voyagers, and I am here to give you another ship review on the IMO series that I do, in my opinion. And this time I'm going to do a ship review on a ship that I've been on twice, but I haven't reviewed it yet, so I'm going to now. And that is the Carnival Elation. So roll the intro so we can get right into it, Heath.
Welcome to the Vacation Voyagers ship review of the Carnival Elation.
Okay, so the Carnival Elation. Been on it 2 times. The last time I was on it was just back in March, late March, early April. And both times I've been on it, I've really enjoyed that ship. It is a fantasy class ship from the Carnival fleet. Very small ship. It was originally built in 1998. They refurbished it in March of 2020. They added Guy's Burger Joint. They added the Blue Iguana Mexican Grill. It's only an 855-foot ship. It is, I think, somewhere around the 70,000 gross tonnage weight, which is very small for a cruise ship, and it carries somewhere around 2,600 passengers, somewhere in that range. Me and my wife went on it back in somewhere around 2015 when it was actually sailing out of New Orleans, and we went on that for the first time, and we really did enjoy that ship. It was a Western Caribbean cruise. Not big Carnival fans at that time, but we really did enjoy that Carnival ship when we went. So this time when we took a cruise on the Carnival Elation, it was cruising out of Jacksonville, Florida. So we flew into Jacksonville, went there. We only did a 4-day cruise, but yeah, we enjoyed that one as well. And I'm going to talk to you about everything from embarkation, debarkation, muster station, entertainment, food, all of the above. So we're going to start with embarkation, debarkation of the ship in Jacksonville. This is the only ship that goes out of Jacksonville, Florida. They only have one cruise port, and the reason why is you have to sail under a bridge. The bridge is just tall enough for a smaller ship to pass through. The Carnival Elation is small enough to go through it, therefore that's why it is the only ship that cruises in and out of Jacksonville. So when we arrived in Jacksonville, one thing I would point out, it is not downtown Jacksonville. It's not close to the airport. I think it's about a 20-minute drive, kind of in the middle of nowhere on the outskirts of Jacksonville. So when we arrived in Jacksonville, we were able to get a hotel, the Holiday Inn, that was only around a mile away from the cruise port. So that was very convenient. It was the closest hotel that they had near the cruise port. I think the next nearest one was about 5 or 6 miles away. And yeah, when we arrived at the cruise port, it was the only cruise ship there, so you didn't have to worry about multiple cruise ships and multiple traffic for different cruise ships. Everybody was going on the same ship. As far as getting there, we Ubered. Very easy. They had their own parking lot for people who drive to the Jacksonville cruise port, so that seemed to be very easy as well. We were in the cruise port probably from the moment that we got into the cruise port to the moment they let people get on the ship. It took us 5-10 minutes to get completely through. Very easy to get through. Now, once you start boarding the ship, I guess the only downfall to embarkation would be if you have trouble walking. I suggest a wheelchair because you start on the ground floor and you have to go up a ramp, and it goes probably 5 to 6 decks up a ramp before you get on the cruise ship. It's not like a conventional cruise port where you go up escalators to get to the top and then cross over to the cruise ship. You walk outside and you walk up this ramp. You just keep zigzagging up, and then when you finally get to the cruise ship, you're actually on deck 7 when you enter the cruise ship. So that was weird. Usually on cruise ships you're on deck 4, 3, something like that. But yeah, you enter on deck 7 when you get on the Carnival Elation. Other than the walk going up the ramp, it's very easy to get on that ship. Embarkation was a breeze. Debarkation, same thing. Very easy to get off the ship, except you got to go down the ramp. If you have trouble walking, I suggest a wheelchair, just a lot of ramp walking. One thing I will say when you debark, if you have a plane to catch, the biggest problem that we had once we got off the ship was getting an Uber, because there's not a lot of Ubers that go around that area. When we called for an Uber, it would say 20 minutes, 30 minutes until an Uber would arrive. So we had a little bit of trouble doing that. It did take about 40 minutes for our Uber to get there. Ours was more or less bad luck because they were bringing somebody to the cruise port, and apparently the person who Ubered to the cruise port decided they wanted to go get snacks and food and stuff at a convenience store before they got on the cruise ship, so it delayed our Uber. If you're in a hurry and you need to get to the airport at a specific time, I would suggest already having a vehicle and or transportation ready for you when you go to the airport, especially if you've got an early flight. Otherwise, it's probably going to take about 30-40 minutes for you to be able to get out of there if you're trying to get back to the airport. If you're parked there, you have no issues whatsoever. I watched people get off the cruise ship, go straight to their car and leave. They didn't have to do a whole lot of walking. The parking lot is right there by the cruise ship. Very easy, very convenient. Yeah, embarkation, debarkation, pretty easy. One of the easier cruise ports you'll go to, because again, there's only one ship and there's only 2,600 people on the ship, so very easy. All right, so that brings us to our next subject, which is muster station. Super easy. Did the same way that most cruise ships are doing. You have to watch a couple of videos. Once you get the Carnival Hub app on your phone, they make you watch 2 videos, make you listen to the long beep thing, and once you do that, you go to your muster station, you check in, they show you how to put a life jacket on, and you're good to go. And it literally takes no time whatsoever. Very easy, very convenient. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the layout of the ship. Okay, so the deck plan, kind of weird if you're not used to smaller ships, because there is nothing except staterooms from deck 6 all the way down. Deck 7 is where you get onto the ship, and that's where you'll find the main atrium, you'll find guest services, shore excursions, I believe the art gallery as well, and that's pretty much all that's on deck 7. You go up to deck 8, you'll find your fun shops, you'll find the Mikado Lounge, which is their main theater, and you will also find both of your dining room restaurants. You got the Imagination dining room and you have the Inspiration dining room, both on deck 8. Now the problem with deck 7 and deck 8 is you cannot get from one side of the ship to the other on either one of those decks. You have to go up to deck 9 to be able to cross from one to the other, because the main galley is right in the middle of the ship on deck 8. So if you were on deck 8 and you wanted to go to the other side of the ship, so you have to go up to deck 9, walk across the promenade, and then you can get to the other side. After deck 9, deck 10, deck 11, you can go from one side of the ship to the other. Not a big inconvenience, but it does get a little confusing. Once you are on deck 9, that is where most of your main indoor stuff is. That's where you have the casino, the promenade, bars. It's also the upper part of the Mikado Lounge. You also have your Alchemy Bar, the Limelight Lounge, Photo Shop, the Romeo and Juliet Lounge, which is like a little dance lounge. You also have the arcade and the O2 for kids. You also have the Serenity deck on deck 9. So there's a lot of things that you can do on deck 9, and you can go from one side of the ship to the other on deck 9. Now deck 10 is your Lido deck. That's where you go to the pool, and you also go to the buffet there on that same deck. Now on deck 11, the only thing you have on deck 11, you have more staterooms, but on the aft of the ship you have the water park with the slides and the kids' little water play park area. And then on deck 12 you have the spa, the fitness center, beauty salon, the massage room. You also have Camp Ocean for kids, and that's pretty much all there is on deck 12. Now there is no deck 13, but on deck 14, the only thing you have up there is the mini golf putt-putt place and bocce ball. I think they also had the shuffleboard up there as well. And then there's deck 15, and deck 15 is really weird because it is this ginormous deck area that has absolutely nothing nothing on it. Doesn't even have chairs. It was just a great big open deck. That's where everybody wanted to go see us sail away and go under the bridge. But there was absolutely nothing on that deck, and it was a very big deck. So they do not have a sports area like a basketball court, anything like that. And we'll get into the activities and stuff like that later. But the layout of the ship in general, very easy because everything is pretty much from deck 9 up. Deck 8 and 7 does have a few things. Everything's pretty much on those top layers. So that's very convenient when it comes to wanting to go inside, like to the casino. All you have to do is go up one deck to go to the buffet, go to the pool. Everything's just right up there, close to each other. So that was very convenient. So yeah, the overall layout of the ship is just very easy to get around. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about the casino because I know more about the casino than I do anything, because that's where I spend 95% of my time on the cruise ship. The casino was nice. I have no complaints about the casino whatsoever. I didn't win, but the games were new. They weren't old games. They weren't outdated games. They had the newest slot machines. They had plenty of table games. Wasn't a huge casino, but it didn't need to be huge because there wasn't a lot of people on the cruise ship. It accommodated the amount of people on the cruise ship pretty well. Didn't have any issues when it did get crowded trying to find a slot machine and stuff like that. Again, they had the newer games, the Huff and Puffs and the Locket Links and stuff like that. They had all the newest games. They also had some old games as well, but as far as overall, yeah, I enjoyed the casino. It was really nice. There is smoking in the casino. They did have a non-smoking area. I think the back part of the casino was smoking only, and then the front part was non-smoking. So if you have an issue with that, they try to cut down on the whole casino being smoking, mainly because the casino isn't in its own room. It's opened in the promenade. So when you walk through the promenade, you can see the casino as soon as you get up on deck 9. They had plenty of table games. They were all in one little section, and then they had slot machines going all the way around. They also had a bar right there next to the casino like they normally do on other ships. For such a small ship, had a pretty decent sized casino. Okay, so now we're going to talk activities. Depending on what you like to do on cruise ships, if you have kids, again, not a very big ship, so you're pretty limited on activities. Now, as far as kids are concerned, they do have a Camp Ocean, and they do have different ages areas for different groups. They have infant to 3, so on and so forth. As far as teenage, they did have the Club O2, and then they also had Circle C, which is more of a teenage place where you can play video games, and a little hangout called O2. I never did go into those because we didn't have a kid, so I'm sure because of the size of the ship they weren't huge. Other activities, just not a whole lot. Obviously you have the Lido pool, you have the hot tubs. They do have the Serenity deck for adults only on deck 9. That was attached to the promenade and the rest of the stuff. So again, easy to get to. They don't have a basketball court. They didn't have that to offer. They did have a mini golf course. They did have a weird looking shuffleboard. It wasn't like your normal shuffleboard. It was more like a rubber mat with these big huge pucks. I don't play shuffleboard, so I just know it looked different from regular shuffleboard. They do have the fitness center, the spa, but other than that, there really wasn't a whole lot. They do have an arcade, but the arcade was maybe 5 or 6 games to play in the arcade. They had some of those games that you can win prizes as well. Not a very big arcade at all. As far as other areas for kids to play, they had the Carnival Waterworks, which had some water slides. Also had a little play area, not a pool, but a play area where they can get wet and have fun as well. And there was little lounge chairs in the back where the waterworks area was as well. Again, very small ship, very limited. One thing I'll say that I think they're wasting on that ship is deck 15. They have that huge area that has absolutely nothing on it. I don't know if they were planning on doing something on that deck 15 area, but to have such a big area with absolutely nothing on it didn't really make any sense to me. And they also do not have a Jumbotron or a big TV where the Lido deck is. That I didn't even notice that until towards the end of the trip when Voyager T pointed it out to me, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. They don't even have a TV on this deck. I didn't realize that until after she mentioned it to me. But, you know, it's a small ship. You know, you're not going to have a lot of those things like you would on the Mardi Gras, the Celebration, or a Royal ship. Okay, now let's talk about entertainment. This one's going to be hard for me because it varies from cruise to cruise. Sometimes you'll get on a cruise ship and the entertainment's not very good. Other times you'll get on a cruise ship and it's really good. The cruise that we went on, which again was back in March, late March, early April, their entertainment show that we did go to was the most confusing thing I'd ever seen because it was supposed to be a rock show. The Carnival entertainment people doing their take of rock songs, you know, classic rock, I guess. And I don't like putting down entertainment, but they had a guy come out. It was like a pre-show before the show where a guy came out with a guitar and he just started playing his guitar. And he didn't have any backup music or anything. He just came out there and just started playing 30-second pieces of songs. And then he would just stop and play another 30-second piece of a song. And he just did that for like 30 minutes. And then they came out and did the show. Not one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, especially when it comes to rock songs and they do it in a Broadway musical type of sound. It just wasn't the best show. At the time that we went, their entertainment was really subpar. Now, the entertainers that were at the bars, you had your musicians that were like on the main atrium area where the bar is. They had the violin players. They're always really good. You know, they play up-to-date music. They play cover tunes, you know, during the nighttime. Those were fun and they did really well. Now, when we were on this cruise ship, they do have the Limelight Lounge, but they did not have a comedian when we were on that cruise. I don't know why, but yeah, they didn't have a comedian when we were on that ship at that particular time. So there wasn't a whole lot of entertainment on the ship. But again, we were only on there for 4 days. And the one show that we did see, you know, it was just odd. It's the best way I could put it. Just an odd show. All right, guys, so let's talk about the food on the Carnival Elation. Took off my sweatshirt. It's a little hot in here. Now, I've been having issues with Carnival food since the pandemic, primarily because they have not been giving their ships the amount of food that they had pre-COVID. And what I mean by that is they've been doing a lot of cutbacks. And you can really tell with the food. Now, there are no specialty restaurants on the Carnival Elation. There is only one, really just one pay restaurant, and it's the Bonsai Sushi Bar. And even that's pretty cheap. You only have to pay a few bucks for some sushi. Other than that, everything's free. They have no steakhouse like most of their ships do. Basically, they have 2 dining rooms. They do have Guy's Burger. That's new from when they revamped the ship. The Blue Iguana is also new. And other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. They did add a cherry on top, but that's a candy store, and that's obviously a pay as well. But as far as food's concerned, so we did eat in the dining room. We ate there the very first night. The reason why we ate in the dining room because they said they had Italian night and they had the Cucina del Capitano chicken parmesan. And I love Cucina del Capitano that has been on the other ships. So we went to the dining room the first night. However, when we got the actual chicken parmesan, the chicken was bad. The breading was bad. The sauce was old and dried up. The cheese that was melting on top, it was like plastic shredded cheese. It was dry. It just was not good at all. I refused to go to the dining room the rest of the trip just because of how bad that was, and I normally like Carnival's Cucina del Capitano chicken parmesan. So yeah, that was the only time we ate at the dining room. We pretty much survived on two things, Guy's Burger and the Blue Iguana, because their buffet just wasn't that good. The main reason was they didn't have a whole lot of variety. They did not put a whole lot of stuff out in their buffet. Talking about the hot part, the hot plates or whatever, they only gave you like 2 or 3 options. Even those options, they just weren't as good as they used to be. The past few trips post-COVID, it's kind of been that way. The one big disappointment that I had is I usually also count on the Pizza Pirate, which normally they have really good pizza. But on this ship, you can tell that they've been watering down their pizza sauce, because every time we get a piece of pizza, it was soggy. The sauce just tasted watered down. The crust was wet. It was just not good. Probably the worst pizza I've ever eaten on any ship from the Carnival. And like I said, normally their pizza is great. Voyager Tea had mentioned salad dressings on the salad bar were watered down really bad too. You can tell that they were real soupy and not thick like salad dressing is supposed to be. You kind of can put 2 and 2 together and tell that they're really trying to cut back on spending, so they compensate by watering stuff down so they can make it last a lot longer. And I don't like to be critical of their food, but it just really wasn't that good. Having said that, the Guy's Burger and the Blue Iguana, excellent. It's always just really good, and thank God they didn't skimp on that, because they got really great burgers, fries from Guy's Burger, it's always fantastic. The Blue Iguana, they didn't try to cut back on that as well. Everything was good there like it normally was. But again, the Pizza Pirate was just really bad the entire time. And we ate 2 or 3 times there because I thought, well, maybe that was just a bad pizza. And then I'd get another one and it'd be the same way. It's like, what are they doing? I couldn't even tell if they changed their sauce totally or if they just watered it down. I think it's the latter, watering it down, but you know, it just wasn't that good. The deli, they also have on the ship, and that was good, but normal deli places, they serve fries with their sandwiches, and they did not on this ship. They only served potato chips. So, you know, they had like hot ham and cheeses, they had chicken sandwiches, they had different, you know, 2 or 3 different types of sandwiches, I believe a Reuben, but they always served it with chips. So I don't know if they just stopped doing that or that particular ship doesn't serve fries with their deli sandwiches. But the good thing about it was all the food places were just right there. Everything was on deck 10. You had the buffet, you had the deli in the buffet, you had the Pizza Pirate in the buffet. The Bonsai sushi place was actually right by the casino, and the Lido deck was also on deck 10, so you had Guy's Burger and the Blue Iguana right there too, right before you go into the buffet. So, but that's the best I can give you as far as the food on that. And it's my opinion. I'm a picky eater, so my opinion is a lot different than others, because I'm sure some of the people that ate the food that was on the buffet likes that type of food. Me, I just wasn't into it. They did not have any type of steaks. They didn't have a whole lot of vegetable options. Yeah, just not the best food on that ship. That was disappointing. Like I said, we lived off of Guy's Burger and Blue Iguana pretty much the entire cruise. So now we'll talk about their bars and their shops. You know, I could say the same. I could just say this and just put it on every single ship review I do. There's no shortage of bars. They have bars everywhere. If you're worried about not being able to get a drink somewhere, you don't have to. Because there's a bar on every floor, in every section. They have the piano bar, the casino's got a bar. Every venue that they have, there's a bar attached to it. Even the buffet had a bar. They have the Alchemy bar, which is where they do the weird concoctions of drinks and stuff like that. And the drinks were good. I had free drinks while I was in the casino. So yeah, I got served drinks in there and they were pretty good. They did not shy away from the liquor. Yeah, that's all I can pretty much say about the bars. They're always good. Anybody who likes to have a drink. Again, there's no shortage of bars on any ship that you go on, and the Elation is no different. As far as shops are concerned, they did put a brand new cherry on top, which I'm a huge fan of that because I like candy. It's a a very, very small little shop. It's a lot smaller than you see on other ships, but they have one on there. They do have the Java Blue Cafe as well, right beside the cherry on top. The only issue that I had with that, if you ever been on the Mardi Gras or the Celebration, you can go to the Java Blue, you can get free coffee, teas, and stuff like that. The only way you can get free coffees and free teas was to go up to the buffet to get it. That's the only place they served it. The Java Blue was a pay-only area. So if you wanted like a cappuccino type of thing or cookies, I think they had muffins and stuff up there as well. You had to pay for that. As far as shops are concerned, pretty much similar to all Carnival ships. They had a fun shop, they had a jewelry shop, they had a liquor shop and cigarette shop as well, just a smaller version of them. And that was pretty much it as far as shops. They did not have any more. They were all kind of just combined into that one little area. And then obviously they had their photo shop where they take pictures throughout the cruise, and you can go up to their little photo gallery and buy pictures as well. But as far as shops are concerned, that's pretty much all they had on the ship. Alright, now the next thing I'll talk about, and I normally don't talk about this, but I will on this one since it's such a small ship, was the ports that we went to. We were on a 4-day cruise, and we did have 1 day at sea, but we only went to 2 places. We went to Freeport, and we also went to Bimini, which was the first time we'd ever been to Bimini. Now, our first stop was Freeport. Unless you're going on an excursion or unless you've got something planned on Freeport, you're not missing much at all. The port itself, there was some little tents and shop areas just in that little section where you get off the ship. They did have like some little eating areas as well where you can get some snacks and stuff, but just not a whole lot to do around the port area. So Freeport wasn't that great. Now Bimini was awesome. It's not a very big island. It's about 7 miles long and literally like 100 yards wide. And we rented a golf cart. We cruised around the island on a golf cart, and it was awesome. We did go to Resorts World and checked out that area. They have a beach area over there. They have plenty of beaches on Bimini. Yeah, they even had a small casino where Resorts World was that you can go into. I think they have an area where you can pay to go to the Resorts World beach area, and they also had a beach area free right by the dock where the ship was docked at. Yeah, I did like Bimini. As far as like what else can you do there, they did have some excursions, but for the most part the island doesn't have a lot to offer as far as things to do on the island besides the beaches and that casino and getting on a golf cart and riding around. But yeah, we really did enjoy cruising around on a golf cart. That was fun. So the last thing I'll talk about is the room. Now we had an ocean view room and it was not bad. I was actually impressed with that room. It had a king size bed, obviously 2 twins squished together like all cruise ships do. Did have a nice size window so you can outsee. It wasn't like a little port view. It was a nice big window where you can see everything. If there was an issue, it would be that the windows were super dirty, and it's probably because the ship was old and they didn't redo the windows, so it was real foggy and it was kind of hard to see out of it. You know, it wasn't crystal clear, but you can see what was going on outside. Yeah, other than that, man, it was a really nice room. We were impressed with it because we thought it was going to be a lot smaller. It wasn't. There was plenty of space around the bed. You didn't have to, you know, get super tight to walk around. It had plenty of walking space. A lot roomier than I thought. The bed was comfortable. It was clean. They had plenty of room for 2 people to put their stuff in. Had a vanity, and the bathroom was big. We were really surprised on how big the bathroom and the shower was. It wasn't a bathtub shower, it was just a shower, but newer ships you'll see these small little tube showers that you can't even bend over in. This one was a nice big long shower. It was wide enough. It did have the little floppy curtain instead of the glass or the plexiglass door. The commode was in a good spot where you weren't crushing your knees up against the sink or cabinets or whatever like you've seen on other cruise ships. The sink was very small, but they did have cabinet space above the sink where you can put your toiletries and stuff. They had hangers where you can hang your toiletries if you have a travel bag. So yeah, we was actually pretty impressed with the room. It was comfortable, it was clean, it wasn't dirty. It was actually a pleasant surprise because when you get on a ship that old, you're going to expect maybe a little stench to it. Maybe it's, you know, dirty from all the years of wear and tear, but it's held up really well. So we were happy with that. Yay. Okay, so now I'm going to rate everything, starting with Embarkation Debarkation. Out of 10, give it an 8 on the Embarkation Debarkation. And the only reason why I'm giving it an 8 is because of how you have to get on the ship. You were on ground level, and once you started to board the ship, you had to walk up this ramp. And it had to be 5 levels up, where you just had to keep walking up this ramp back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because you had to enter on deck 7 of the ship. They did have wheelchairs available for people who do have issues walking. It was a pretty good hike to get on the ship and get off the ship. So if there was a downfall, that would have been it. Other than that, it was super quick and easy to get on the ship. Pretty much took us about 10 minutes to get on the ship from the time that we got to the cruise terminal. So, and the same thing with debarkation. As soon as the ship allowed people to get off, everybody walked back down that long ramp, went straight out, easy peasy. There are no other terminals. There's just one terminal, one ship. Everybody who drove to the cruise ship, they had a big parking lot right there for everybody. I watched people get straight off the ship, go straight to their car and take off, and they were gone. No traffic issues, none of that. So 8 out of 10 on that. Boy, that was a long description on just that. Okay, next thing, muster station, 10 out of 10. The easiest thing in the world. Hope they never change it. You watch a couple videos, you go to the area, they show you how to put a life jacket on, you're done. 30 seconds literally to go through the muster station. So yeah, 10 out of 10. I hope they never change that. All right, next we'll talk about the overall layout of the ship. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. The only reason why I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is there's 2 issues with that ship to me, and I forgot to mention this earlier when I was talking about the layout of the ship, but one of the issues is obviously getting from one part of the ship to the other on deck 7 and 8. You always have to go up to deck 9 if you're in the front of the ship and you need to go to the back. The other issue that I had with that ship was the Lido deck and deck 11. Deck 11 especially. Deck 10 is the Lido deck, that's where the pool is, but just like most ships, deck 11, which is above the Lido deck, has a strip of almost a deck, a small deck strip that's going across that oversees deck 10, the Lido deck, where they have chairs where you can lay out. The issue with that deck on that ship is that is where they have all of their lifeboats, and it blocks your view of the ocean. So anybody who is on deck 11 wanting to lay out and look at the ocean, you couldn't do it. You had a view of the lifeboat, and that was it. They had little spaces that you can kind of see the ocean in between the lifeboats, but it wasn't a very good area for you to lay out. If you wanted just to chill and see the ocean as you're laying out, you couldn't do it. I didn't lay out, so I didn't have to worry about it, but I could see how other people who were laying out on deck 11 and have this great big orange boat staring at them, they would be kind of bothered by that. And the other issue, it's not even an issue, it's that deck 15 where they have this huge open space of nothing. There's nothing there to do. There's no chairs. There was nothing. There was like one little seating area. I call it the observation deck because that's the only thing you can really do is go up there and observe looking out at the ocean. They also did not have one of those big TVs on the Lido deck either. So I guess if that's an issue for you, that would be an issue. So 8 out of 10 for the layout. But other than that, everything, small ship, so everything was pretty much right there. Did not have to do a whole lot of walking. And plus the elevators were easy to go up and down. Small ship, easy access to get from one place to the other. Okay, next is entertainment. Oh man. I'm going to give entertainment a 5 out of 10. Strictly because their shows were not very good. But their entertainment as far as the piano bar is concerned, the casino bar, the violin players, and these, not even groups, but like duet, solo guy who was just playing guitar, they were really good. The shows themselves were just not good at all. So 5 out of 10 on the entertainment. All right, next, the activities. I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. Small ship, not a whole lot of options. They do have a gym. They had a spa. They did have a serenity deck. They did have a Circle C sea in an O2. They had the all ages thing for the kids. They had a small water park for the kids. Lido deck, they had a pool. For such a small ship, they did the best they could to get as much as they could on the ship. So I gotta give them an 8 out of 10 on that. You're not on a big Oasis class ship. You're not on a big Mardi Gras size ship. So you're limited on how much stuff you can put on that ship. The only downfall, I guess, would be that big area on deck 15. I think they could have put a basketball court or something up there instead of it just being just one big open deck of nothing. For such a small ship, they put as much as they possibly can on that ship. All right, next the casino. Casino, I'll give them a 9 out of 10. It wasn't a huge casino, but it did not need to be a huge casino. They updated all of their games. They did have a non-smoking section for those who do not like smoky areas in the casino. And yeah, it was a nice casino. It was clean. The pit bosses and all the people who worked in the casino were really nice. Even though I didn't win, I can't judge it because I never win, or they'd all be zeros. But they had a good amount of table games, the blackjacks, the roulettes, and all of the regular table games. They had a bar there as well. They had entertainment near the casino. So I did like the casino, even though I didn't win. So yeah, 9 out of 10 on that. All right, we'll combine these two together and we'll talk about the bars and the shops. I will give that an 8 out of 10 just because every area on that ship had a bar, had a rum bar, they had all kinds of bars. Every section of the ship had a bar somewhere. Definitely no shortage of bars. The drinks were good. The bartenders that we dealt with and talked to were super nice. Again, I had free drinks at the casino, so that's where I did most of my drinking because they were free. The waiters and waitresses in the casino were really cool. So the shops, same thing. They're small, but you know, they do have some shops there. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for the bars and the shops. Okay, so now we're getting to the food. I'll be lenient and give it a 6 out of 10. And that's lenient for me because they would get a lot less if it wasn't for Guy's Burger and the Blue Iguana. Those two places were really good, like they always are. The Pizza Pirate was super disappointing. We did eat one time in the dining room and it really was not good at all, so we stopped eating in the dining room and just tried the buffet. Buffet was just, they just did not have a very good variety of food when they had the buffet out there. And you can tell they're doing a lot of cutbacks on food. Yeah, 6 out of 10. The buffet was just not that good. Just not a very good variety of food. You know, you could ask somebody else that was on the same cruise as I was and they could give it a 10 out of 10. They could have loved their food. So food is more of a opinion than a fact type of thing. I'm a pickier eater, so there's certain foods that I don't like. But even the foods that I did try to eat at the buffet felt like they were cooked hours ago and had just been left out in the warmer. And you know, that taste of food after it's been left out for a long period of time, that's kind of the vibe I got with what food I did eat on the buffet. Okay, and next we're going to talk about the room. The room I'm going to give a 10 out of 10 just because it was a roomy room. For an ocean view room on that kind of a ship that's that small, we had plenty of space, plenty of hang up area. The bathroom was big, the shower was big, the commode was in a good place where you weren't cramped up. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for that room. As old as that ship is, they kept it clean. It did not smell. They had a TV in a good spot, so when you laid in your bed, it was right there where you could see it. Wasn't a huge TV, but it didn't need to be. If there was a downfall, the windows were dirty. You didn't get a good clear view outside. It's an older ship. You would expect that with an older ship. So yeah, I really did like that room. My wife did too. She enjoyed the room. Bed slept very comfortably. And again, we had plenty of room for our luggage and all that stuff. So yeah, 10 out of 10 with the room. Okay, and finally, overall rating of the ship. And this will be a surprise to people because I'm sure they're going, oh, you complained about everything. I really didn't complain about anything. I'm just trying to point out my opinion of the ship. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not trying to sell you a cruise ship. And as far as overall ship, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. We really like big ships when we go cruise, and we like options, and we like going and doing all these things, and all, you know, we like going to multiple restaurants and specialty restaurants. They had no specialty restaurants on that ship. Their food wasn't that good, but this is the second time we've been on the Elation, and it was the second time we enjoyed our cruise. We really did like our cruise. We loved our room. We loved Guy's Burger. We loved Blue Iguana. Even though we had issues with the buffet and stuff, we figured it out. We just dealt with it. The entertainment, the show wasn't great, but we didn't care. I loved the casino. Voyager T loved the layout. She was able to chill and lay out in the Serenity deck. She enjoyed that. So yeah, for it being such a small ship and not a lot in comparison to Oasis class ships with the Royal Caribbean or the Mardi Gras, it was a cool, just a 4-day cruise, chill type of cruise ship. If there's any complaints, like I said, they're doing cutbacks on their food. They got to stop doing that. It's not just the Elation. I've seen it on Royal Caribbean. I've seen it on Mardi Gras. I've seen it on every ship where these cruise companies are trying to give you less to save money. But yeah, the cruise in general, we loved Bimini. Yeah, we just enjoyed that ship. We went on it, like I said, 5 or 6 years ago. We enjoyed it then. We enjoyed it last couple months ago. And yeah, we'll do it again. For it to be such an old ship and such a small ship, it's a good ship. I do recommend it. It's a nice ship. All right, guys, that does it for this IMO ship review of the Carnival Elation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Also hit the like button, only if you liked the video. If you didn't, you have your opinion too. You cannot like it at all. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down there. Hopefully I will see you soon, because we haven't cruised in a couple months and I'm jonesing for another cruise. Until next time, peace and love, and I will see you on our next voyage. Bye.